But for now, Nate Scott helps purpose-driven professionals like us move from disruption to freedom so that we can live our lives in fullness every day. And at that, I'm going to turn it over to our guest speaker, the renowned Nate Scott, the West Point graduate, MBA, published author, all-around awesome guy. Over to you.
That's my fan club right there.
Both of them?
No, that crew right there were very dynamic. Are you hearing the mic?
Yes.
Is this good?
Yes, good.
No, I had a great time over here because they were already huddled up doing some major business. And I inserted myself into it politely, and they welcomed me. And then they actually then stroked my ego with the values that I shared with them.
Speaking. Oh, with the mic, I'm sorry. Hold it high. This is the transmitter.
Testing. And in doing so, they gave me some thoughts about what I shared and the value in which it was shared. And so that was really great. So let me just open up by finding out a little bit about the room. How many of you, by a show of hands, are W-2 employees? Okay, that means you're a salaried employee. You don't own your own business. Okay, great. How many of you are business owners, meaning you own your own business? Okay, and of those business owners, how many of you are 1099s? Okay, great. I just want to get an understanding of who's in the room. My name is Nate Scott. I'm the author of the book, Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth, which is a principle-centered, biblically based leadership program focused on personal growth and entrepreneurship. It's specifically written to address the cash flow danger that no one is talking about. The fact that 77 million baby boomers are retiring facing a cash flow danger. That 66 out of 100 people age 65 earn less than $30,000 retirement. That 47% of people say if they had a $400 emergency, they'd have to sell something or borrow money to address it. And 68% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. But it's about how to think versus what to think. Say it, how to think.
How to think.
Versus what to think. How to think.
How to think.
Versus what to think. I say it in that manner because as a former infantry officer ranger, taking my soldiers into battle, I knew that if I got killed on the battlefield, the mission still has to take place. And so that's how I approach the way that I do things. I'm a former enlisted soldier, combat veteran, West Point graduate, degrees in engineering and sociology. I saw that someone said about nerding out. I think there was a person that was talking about benching the carrier or something. The destroyer. Okay, there we go. They would say, I'm listening. That's the highest form of communication. And with that background, my first business was as a personal trainer. I hear a lot of health people in here. From there, I started teaching people how to apply the habits of physical fitness to their life. I then did my MBA at George Washington University, started teaching how to apply the habits of physical fitness to business. And then, after doing financial planning at Georgetown University, I started teaching how to apply the habits of physical fitness to personal finance. I shared that because it's important to understand the process in which I'm going through, because I want you each to think about your life in its entirety and determine where do you see some common threads. You see, for me, it was very simple. People would come to me with a goal. I would then do an assessment. After the assessment, we'd do a plan. And then after the plan, it was about me helping them by holding them accountable to the execution of the plan. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. As I walked the perimeter during Operation Desert Storm, I said, Lord, if you allow me to make it back, I'll never waste a day of my life. That was a pivotal point for me. It was in that moment that I understood the importance of preparation, of guidance, of stick-to-itiveness, of resilience. And those are the things that I want to encourage each one of you to really reflect for yourself of what you've shown throughout your life to show those attributes so that you can in turn be steadfast in pursuing those things that are most important to you. Life is rich means I live in fullness every day because I realize I'm Christ's heir. Life, live in fullness every day. Rich, realize I'm Christ's heir. is meant to be something just to jog your memory. It's meant to inspire you, to hold on to, and to go through, in spite of what your faith belief is, or isn't. It's not me beating you over the head with the Bible. It's just me simply saying, this is my foundation. Because I think it's important that anytime you engage with someone, you should know what their foundation is. What do they stand upon? And my promise to each one of you tonight is simply this. If you'll lend me your ear, I'll give you my heart. If you lend me your ear, I will give you my heart. That's my commitment. That's my promise. You see, I asked this question. How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? And how do you want to live the last 10 years of your life? Think about that. How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? And how do you want to live the last 10 years of your life? See, the life expectancy of women is 81. Men is 76. Think about that. Now we took off 10 years. We're talking about 71 if you're a woman. We're talking about 66 for a man from a planning standpoint. So how old are you today? And then how long do you have to get to those numbers? That question I asked is because when I departed from the military, I had a 90-day window called terminal leave. And that was the window of time that I was transitioning, knowing that in that period of time, I was going to be out. And at that time, I had already determined that my two ways to get to my goal of financial independence was going to be business or real estate. I knew because I had purchased a property before that if I didn't take action, I would have to have a history of income in order to get financing. And if I was leaving one career to go to another, I wouldn't have that history of income anymore. And so I read a couple of books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant. Probably read those books before. Well, after reading that book, I grabbed a couple of concepts and took action on those concepts, and consequently, in a 90-day window, acquired over $1 million in assets in that 90 days. Which in turn led me to be in a position that when I had my daughter, Nadia, in 2004, I ran my numbers and saw that financially I was in a position to walk away from a phenomenal job to move to Jacksonville, Florida, sight unseen, to get near Savannah and get near the water. I'm an introvert by nature. And so consequently, that's what led to my transition. I share that because, again, this thing about beginning with the end in mind, and what are you actually working towards? Are you a human doing or are you a human being? I want to challenge you to really reflect about who you be versus what you do. Because each one of you has something inside of you that in turn is gifted just for you, specifically for you to go do something great. The question is, are you able to pause long enough to reflect to see what that actually is? Most people are not. Most people are not. As I made that transition, I made the decision to start honing in on what I saw people were really missing out in their life. Let me grab me something to wipe this sweat away because I feel like I'm in the gym now. And that question that I asked, typically when someone tells me how old they are and we go that number, and I want you guys to do that. Don't leave here without that, because that's really my gift for you tonight. I want you to be aware of those stats, but more importantly, I want you to do your own personal assessment. How long do you have to get to that number that was identified, either 66 for men or 71 for women? How long do you have so that you can now be intentional about finding the right vehicle to get to your outcome? It's critical that you do this. Why do I say it's critical? Because I moved here to Jacksonville, Florida, sight unseen, because I was getting cold called by financial professionals wanting to manage my money, but they didn't know my background. Nor did they know that I was actually looking for an advisor. Not because I didn't know what to do, but because I didn't want my emotions driving my decisions. You see, as a former enlisted soldier, what I did know was I knew that just because I was a soldier did not mean that I didn't know how to lead. I chose to be a soldier. I turned down my academic scholarships and enlisted in the Army because all I wanted to do was play college basketball. When my scholarship fell through, I turned down my academic scholarships, enlisted in the Army, continued to play sports. As a result of that, enrolled in college courses. And then one of my professors, her husband was a West Pointer. She approached me about the idea of going to West Point. Each one of you, regardless of what you're doing, I'm saying it's about who you be. And when I applied that to my life, when I was looking for an advisor, and then I came to Jacksonville and started working at UBS as a wealth advisor, 766 life of annuity, mortgage, and real estate, I realized within a week of being here that my background experiences didn't matter. Because it wasn't a job of actually making people money, it was a sales job. I had to have enough people saying I was a great guy. And that surprised me. But no problem, I engaged, I excelled, but I didn't forget that 77 million baby boomers were retiring and facing a cash flow danger, and 66 out of 100 people age 65 earn less than $30,000 retirement. And I saw that as a problem because I couldn't actually give recommendations that would give people the opportunity to get to the retirement goals that they actually desired because they didn't have enough income or enough time or couldn't get a great enough return. And that speaks to why my primary audience are women. Because when I had my daughter, Nadia, I committed to sowing into the lives of women such that if anything happened to me unexpectedly, she'd have role models that I'd want her to follow. That market was because I knew that women oftentimes would get married and then maybe get divorced later in life. Women would also end up raising their adult children as well as their parents. Women may re-enter the workforce and then be behind the 8 ball because now they're trying to make it up. But more importantly, women were raising children and then doing things alone. But more importantly, I knew that women had relations. And if trust was established, they would spread the word. I want to encourage you guys to put things like that into your quiver so that in turn you're intentional about how you're engaging and being clear about what you're doing because you got an end state. Because if you realize right now that you are 46 for a man and got 20 years to get to your goal, and you tell me today, which is the next question, is how much money per month do you need or do you want in order to fund FUND, the way you want to look, the way you want to feel, and the way you want to live? What is that monthly amount to give you that physical appearance that you want? What's that monthly amount that you need to begin today to give you the way you feel? And how do you want to live? Most people tell me that they want to, number one, they want to have the money so that they don't have any worry. Can you agree with that? Do you want to have the money out of the way so you don't have to worry, especially when you're in the retirement age? No. Number 2, do you want to have the health?
Yes.
So that you're vibrant, you're energetic,
Yes.
You look good, you feel good, you're mobile, you want to be able to get around. Don't you want to be at that stage of life where you have that? Mm-hmm. Number 3, purpose. Do you want to feel like you're making a difference? That you still have an ability to make an impact? You don't want to feel like your entire life was gone and now nobody wants you to do anything, that you're good for nothing. And number 4, freedom. The time to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, for as long as you want to do it. If you want those 4 things, then those are the 4 things that I intentionally work to actually deliver, because what I do is I just arm you with the assessment and then say, go back to whoever you trust. Now have a different conversation. That's why I wrote the book. To arm you to talk to the CPA, to arm you to talk to the financial advisor, the attorney, or anyone else that you trust. Because if you're not talking about the numbers, if you're not working towards something definitive, then what are you doing with the most valuable asset, which is your time? And if you find that you don't have a plan that you can see on paper, that you can really truly believe that you can execute, then I invite you to have a conversation with me. Because my promise to you is that I can give you a plan. I can give you support. I can give you a vehicle. And in turn, do it so that you have the money, the health, the purpose, and the time. Beginning with understanding that there's only 2 ways to increase cash flow. Either increase your income or decrease your expenses. The 2 biggest expenses that people pay are taxes and ignorance. I help to reduce both. Number 3, if you're a W-2 employee and you don't have a business, you're paying at least 40% more in taxes. If you're a W-2 employee and you don't have a business, you're paying at least 40% more in taxes. And number 4, which is what Life is Rich is really the cusp of it is that entrepreneurship must be the foundation of any wealth building plan. My encouragement to you is that you just think through those things that I've given to you. And if anything that I've said causes you to question or gives you some type of resistance in your spirit, then I want you to go back to the original title that I said I was going to give David tonight. I said, tonight I'm going to speak about how to transform from skeptical and broke to smart, sexy, and sustainable.
Amen.
I need to move you from being skeptical and broke. Be skeptical and curious. Be skeptical, but be curious. Don't be that one stuck in your ways where you say, oh, that doesn't work. I don't think this is this. Get the information accurately. Be curious. And if you do that, I promise you it will open up relationships for you, open up opportunities, because now you're open. And so as I close this out, I'd ask that you simply repeat after me. Number 1, dramatic wealth is a virtue.
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 I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
I'm open and receptive to any ideas and people
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
that will help me to achieve my goal of dramatic wealth.
I am worth $100,000 per month,
I am worth $100,000 per month,
and I love sharing it with those in need.
and I love sharing it with those in need.
I am worth $100,000 per month,
I am worth $100,000 per month,
and I love sharing it with those in need.
and I love sharing it with those in need.
I am worth $100,000 per month,
I am worth $100,000 per month,
and I love sharing it with those in need.
and I love sharing it with those in need.
Through perseverance, I am creating
Through perseverance, I am creating
the financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
the financial dynasty deserve.
Through perseverance, I am creating
Through perseverance, I am creating
the financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
the financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
Through perseverance, I am creating
Through perseverance, I am creating
the financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
the financial dynasty I so richly deserve.
Through perseverance, we are creating
Through perseverance, we are creating
the financial dynasty we so richly deserve.
the financial dynasty we so richly deserve.
Give yourself a hand.
All right. Thank you, Nate. Nate Scott.
I got 2 minutes right here, David. Can I get 2 minutes? 2
Yeah,
minutes.
brother.
I want to open it up to any questions whatsoever. If for any of you that haven't actually experienced a coach, and as I was sharing with the ladies over here, that I use the term coach for other people's benefit, just to get you into your filter. The truth of the matter is, anybody can be a coach, and people put the tag on that. What you get from me is someone that really excels at teaching how to think versus what to think. I've got a background that's documented, but the main thing about it is that I listen really well. And consequently, that's what causes me to then go into my bag to figure out what it is that I want to share with you. So I welcome anything. Just give me a question that might be something. Please.
I'll take a step on that. It's
Please.
probably more of a comment than a question, but probably most of us do, some level of financial planning for our futures and everything else, but you bring a whole other dimension to it, and how do we want to look? How do we want to feel? How do we want to be? And I think that's probably, that's lost on me. And I was asking myself that question as you were saying it, and I really had no answer for myself. So whether it takes some coaching or a walk in the forest, whatever it might be, it's just so important to try and get in touch with that inner self in that way. You really opened my eyes, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let me address what he just said, though. What it takes is a decision. See, the point is now it's aware. You're aware. And it should cause you to pause, to really reflect. And then you just simply decide whether or not your current state matches your desired state. Does your current state match your desired state? And if it does not, then what is the gap? The reason why I talk about it in the look, feel, live, because I'm a former personal trainer, and what I do know is that I can get you moving and start creating new habits, and consequently, that then feeds into every other area of your life. And so that's why the recommendation that I give, number one, for the money, I say start a business. Why? So that you can convert your ordinary expenses into business deductions. What is required? Here's what's required. You got to have an intent to earn a profit. I know we got a CPA in here. You got to have an intent to earn a profit. I didn't say you have to make a profit. Number two, you got to do something on a consistent and ongoing basis. What is that? 6 things. Number one, you need to make a list. Your prospect list. Who are you going to be talking to? What's your identity? Who are you going to go out to? I don't care if it's about a billboard or a sign. What are you doing in order to try to make sure you get the people in the door? Number two, you got to reach out to them. Number three, you got to set the appointment. You got to have that isolated time so that in turn you can then make your pitch based on what it is that you have to offer. Or gather information, i.e. a discovery call. Number four, now you make your presentation. And number five, which is where most people fall off, is the follow-up. Listen, 2% of yeses happen on the first touch, 3% on the second, 5% on the third. How many have lost y'all? Y'all quit now, right? 10% on the fourth. But 80% of your yeses happen on the 5th through the 12th touch. Yeah, wow. So the question is, how many stops and starts have you had? Where you actually came and you met with somebody, then you touched them a little bit, but then nothing happened, and now you dropped off, and now you're trying to go to find the next one. And you got all of this stockpile here, but you just didn't nurture it enough. All right? After that, the next thing is, I told you, so that was the 6th thing. So and then that was the closing. I call it opening. I don't close people, I open the relationship. Because the relationship is what actually begins. Once you say yes, is when everything else begins. Now I got to fulfill. Now I got to deliver. Now I'm trying to keep you. But in closing, if you're thinking about sales in a negative way, here's what I want to leave you with tonight. Please see if you can adopt this mindset. Sales is helping people to understand the logic and the benefit of making a decision or taking an action. Helping people to understand the logic or the benefit of making a decision or taking an action. I ask you to try to think of it in that manner so that then you feel obligated to open your mouth if you feel confident in what you have to offer. I think a lot of times people are not engaging with people because they're not confident in what they have. And I would say if you're like that, then find something else to offer. And if you do so, that's going to open up the opportunities for everything else that you desire. And so to that end, thank you for the question. I hope that you got value from that answer. And to that end,
Nate, thank you so much. That was awesome. And that is so much what Building P2P is all about. Relationships, opportunities, nurturing.